Hi, fellow traders. What's happening? Man, I know I may be over exaggerating, but this is what my day felt like to me. It felt like I just exploded, like a nuclear bomb just blew my account up. Um, and no, I didn't blow it all up, but it felt like it. It felt like everything was against me today. And then I went to lunch, had a good mentor session, kind of shook the morning off, and was sitting around waiting, and something happened and I had no idea. So I was like, what just happened? And I felt like a bomb had gone off. And then after that, the Senate, I was waiting for the Senate to vote, and I was like, if it doesn't pass, we'll get a gap down or we'll get a big sell off. I can have a halfway decent day then, or if they pass it, we should get a bounce. Should still be able to trade some volatility. We should be able to get a decent move in the market so that I can make some money. But that didn't happen. So a lot of stuff just got on me, and I just had a really, really bad time. And this is why I like to be live, and I like to do things right there in front of you in real time, because when I have a meltdown, it's you get to see the stages I go through, and then how I have to reel it back in. And I don't get mad at anybody else. The only person I can be mad at is me. I'm the one to make those decisions, and if something happens and I don't understand, it's I accepted that risk. It's part of the risk that we accept as traders. So it was just a really, really crazy day, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But let's take a look at the SPY, the daily chart here. You can see we're still coming down. I thought we were trying to slow down in here because we weren't really gapping like we used to. And then this morning, we opened not so much with a big gap down. We gapped down overnight, but then by the open, we had pretty much closed that gap up. And then we ended up selling off. But it was a pretty sustained sell-off. Now we bounced after market. We're up around 226, 227. So we're still really volatile. It's still wishy-washy. It can still go either way right now. I don't think it's the bottom, even though we may bounce, but I just don't think it's a bottom. And we could let's look at the weekly chart here, and this will bring a lot of things back to focus. You can see here's the next major area right here that we're running into. And most guys, who are more experienced than me, were thinking the same thing, that this is going to be a key level. This is going to be key. And they expect to bounce here. This may not be the bottom, but they expect to get a significant bounce once it gets into this area right here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a potentially, slower day, maybe a gap down in the morning, not so big of a candle, sell off. The sell off momentum would be starting to slow, and then maybe get that good news from Congress and get that bounce. But either way, we will be able to trade it. But it's almost a wait and see game, because this isn't the typical bear market. This is brought on by this pandemic, and we don't know what we're going to get from one day to the next. And that makes it really, really fun, interesting and exciting, but really, really difficult to trade. And you really have to manage your risk and kind of stay on top of things and just be consistent. Again, be consistent throughout this market. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now for this, is to maybe test this level, because we broke through 2008 lows. We broke through that in 3 days. We got up under that. So, now, excuse me, we're kind of looking at this daily chart, and we are pretty close to getting to this support here. All right, so here's my day. Now, the first trade had no problem with. I couldn't take the opening range break. There's a 5-minute opening range low. I couldn't take it here because we had the 200, we had the 100, we had red to green. So what I did, and what I typically do, is wait for it to sell through it and then get in. Wait to get a close through all of this. Wait for the next candle to confirm, take an entry. Well, my internet has been slow. They purposely slowed down our internet. They said it. They purposely slowed it down, and it's affecting my morning. I tried to get in up here. My order didn't go through until we got down here. I got a bad entry, but that was not the reason why I didn't make money on this trade. This just turned around. It just flat turned around and bounced on me, ended up taking me out. So I waited for it to go all the way up, pull back, and I was trying to buy the bounce. Beautiful flag here. And guess what? It failed. Stopped me out twice. So I was in a pretty deep hole after the morning. This one was a bit wider stop than this one, but I was just in a pretty deep hole. And I got really frustrated because I was at lunch, but then I was in a mentor session and I wasn't able to catch this. And I could have easily got back in this. And this never would have stopped me out. But, I was kind of iffy about it. And then by the time I got the confidence to get in this, I was looking at the SQQQ. And that was the chart that I had up. And that's what I was looking at. And I was like, it's too late to get in this stock. Let me move on. And for some reason, I don't know. And this is what I don't understand. I don't even know how this happened. I was sitting on my couch watching the Senate vote. Okay. And so I was waiting for it. When I saw that the vote wasn't going to pass, I got up. I'm looking at SQQQ. I'm thinking the market's going to sell off. I'm going to trade it. And I'm in this trade. And had no idea I was in it. And I mean, I wasn't my normal self. Normally, I'll just sit back and I will say, we're in an uptrend. So I'm in this thing. Let's just let it go. And I didn't do that. I panicked out. I just took it off. And I never do that. And you guys see, had I done what I always do, I would have made money on this trade. And it would have cut it. It probably wouldn't have brought me back green on the day, but it would have definitely cut this loss in half. And what happened was I was so upset that the market was not responding like I thought it should. What I did was, and what I did wrong, was I brought my expectations into the market. I expected it to do what I wanted it to do. And when it didn't, I got mad, and something that I normally can deal with and work with, I screwed it up. And this is why the mental game is so important. It is so important that we do not bring our biases into the market, that we just sit back and let the market dictate to us what we're going to do and what to do. Because it's the market. We're consistent with the way we react to the market. The market is inconsistent, and it's flowing. So you got to make sure, believe me, you got to make sure that you don't let you bring these your beliefs, your wants, your wishes into the market, your expectations, because if it doesn't happen, bad things happen. So that was my meltdown today. So if I sounded pissed off to some of you guys in chat, I'm sorry. I'm mad at me. I'm not mad at you guys. I was mad at myself, because I'm better than that. But I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad you got to witness it, because you have to understand you're going to run into these things. These things are going to happen. And if you don't get a grip, it can destroy you. It can destroy years of what you've built. So always be careful with that. So I'm starting the week out $1,300 in the hole. Now that's not bad, because the first week of the year, after Wednesday, I was down more than that. So I'm not overly concerned, and I know I over-exaggerated about blowing up my account, but losing $1,300 in one day is not something that I do. It's not something that I'm ever used to. In this account, it just doesn't happen. So, I'm only trading with the $5,000. That's all I'm using every day. And to lose 1/5 of that, a little over 1/5 of that in one transaction, is pretty tough. And to me, it feels like a blow up. So I'm gonna have to dig and be extra patient and bring this thing back around. Now, one other thing I want to point out before I go. We're trading the opening range with the market, and that's dangerous. Okay, let me say, when I teach the opening range breakdown, I tell you the number one strategy of stocks reporting earnings. We look for great catalysts, solid catalysts. We can't do that in this market. So the strategy is not going to be as consistent, but I still have to trade it. When the setups come on the stocks I pick, I have to trade it. And see, I've been ignoring the opening range on Roku for 2 or 3 days. The last 2 or 3 days, solid opening range trades. I get it today, it's garbage. But I can't take it personally. It's the fact that I did not trade it every day. It just so happens that the day I picked to trade it is the day that it doesn't work. And we don't know what days the strategy is going to work and what days it's not going to work. All right. Tried to catch some trend continuation. Same thing. It just didn't work on this trade. We're not trading a stock with its own catalyst. We're trading a stock that's following the market. We're trading the market. So it's going to be a little bit more inconsistent in terms of our wins, but we have to do it, and we have to learn. And when we get beat like this, we have to learn, we have to learn how to deal with it. And that is paramount. We have to learn how to deal with this stuff. So that's going to do it for me today. You guys have a great night, great evening, and we'll get back at it tomorrow and see if we can get this ship righted.